Ben, where's the Sony?
I didn't do anything with it. I have no clue where it is. Adolph, where's the Sony?
I don't know.
Calvin, where's the Sony?
I don't really know.
We used to have a Sony camera that we used for photos and videos, for Telehope content and music videos and things like that. In May of 2022, we went on tour and I'd asked Calvin to go get the Sony right before we left the driveway. He got the bag and we took off, and about 10 seconds into our drive, I asked Calvin to open it, and he did, and the Sony was not inside. When we got home from tour later that June, we looked for the Sony but literally could not find it anywhere. After looking for the Sony for like 16 months, we all got together and said, we're gonna find this Sony, whatever it takes. And so we started this documentary to find the camera.
This isn't something you just lose. Like, the camera's bulky, it's big, it's like got weight to it. You don't misplace that. We use the Sony like multiple times a week, shooting music videos, behind the scenes stuff, like studio footage. Like, you're not gonna just lose it.
The bigger question than where the Sony was lost was when the Sony was lost. Let's work backwards from when we last used the Sony. We found some vlog footage where you can see the Sony's reflection in a mirror in June of 2020. We found some more vlog footage from February of 2021 where you can see Adolph using it in a reflection of the mirror.
In May 2021, our old singer Mark Brad was shooting a music video for us, but there was one day that he couldn't make it to the shoot, so we actually took the Sony a6300 ourselves and got some shots out of like the sunroof of my car, and it looked freaking sick. And so we kind of think that Mark might have gotten jealous of those shots and was like, darn, I wish my A7S could have shot like this. Maybe he got jealous of our shot and was just like, you know what? I'm gonna steal a camera.
We finally realized that the last time we used it was November 23rd, 2021, when my little brother Samuel shot some tour promo stuff for us at Ben's house. We had turned Ben's basement into like a concert vibe, so we had like blacked out the walls and had lights and our instruments, and we had moved a bunch of stuff out of the way just to make room for all that. So we moved his couch, like his coffee table and some stuff like that to get the shots we needed.
After some digging, we found that this was the last footage we had from the Sony. We haven't used or seen the Sony since November of 2021. This narrowed our timeline of when we lost the Sony from November of 2021 to May 20th, 2022. We had a few shows where we might have taken it during that time and shot a few videos, but the reason why we didn't look for the Sony was because I got a new iPhone in January of 22 that shot with a wide-angle lens, and so we didn't want to take the Sony because my iPhone was way more compact and lightweight.
The weird thing is, the lenses and the bag are still there. So if someone took the Sony, why would they not take the lenses or the bag? Seems kind of odd. Two, if we misplace the Sony, how do we misplace a whole camera and not the lenses and the bag? Like, how do you just lose a camera?
It's out there, loose, unprotected, not in its case, all alone. We need to bring it home. We need the Sony home.
I typed the word Sony into my text history, and every time it came up, I looked for, did somebody borrow it? Did we take it on tour? Did somebody use it? The word Sony did come up several times, and one of those instances was Mark Brad borrowing it for a shoot, and also Adolph Goetz borrowing it for work. Both of those instances were before November of 21, but we wondered if Mark might have really liked using our Sony maybe a little bit more than his cameras. I personally looked through like 10,000 photos and videos on my iPhone just to see if the Sony was in like the background of any picture or video, like in the corner or something. And I finally found a picture where the Sony bag was in like the back corner of one of the pictures. On December 21st, 2021, it can be seen in my basement in this picture. On February 14th, 2022, it can be seen in my studio. As you can see from the photo, my cat Ernie is now a suspect. 3. Ernie, where's the Sony?
Meow.
Finally, on May 19th of 2022, you can see the Sony bag in our van on tour.
The burning question at this point is the Sony in the camera bag? Because the camera bag is in all these pictures, but is the Sony inside?
The other interesting thing about this picture is we don't know if the camera is in the bag.
I was gonna say, I thought we packed the camera.
But I'm kind of inclined to believe that it is in this bag.
Why?
Because the manner in which it is oriented is tipping slightly forward, and with the Sony and the 16mm lens, it's a big contraption, you know? It makes the bag go forward. If you remember, you can't set it upright, it always went forward. So
yeah, and the way the couch is leaning backwards makes me think there's like a lot of weight on there too. And the way that like Ernie's kind of positioned,
I'm just saying,
he's kind of like looking at it like, oh, there's something big in there.
I'm just saying, I kind of think there's a 51% chance that it is in the bag.
If it is in the bag, then our time frame of when we lost the Sony gets shortened. But if it's not, then I have no idea when we lost the Sony.
So at this point, we started making a suspect list.
Ben, because his house is the last place we physically saw it.
Calvin, he had been known to borrow it and try to learn how to use it.
Adolph, because I'm in the band. Adolph, even though he's innocent.
Adolph, he had been known to borrow the camera at some points for work, and we also have Telehope gear in his basement. Mark, he had borrowed the camera many times for shoots that he did, and we wondered if he had borrowed it one time and just forgotten that he had it, or that he had borrowed it and didn't want to give it back.
My little brother Samuel, because he was the last person to physically use the camera, and Jordan. He went on tour with us in May, and maybe the camera just happened to fall into his backpack. You know it was you, Jordan.
We also made a list of possible locations the Sony could be. My basement, my studio, the van, Calvin's apartment, Calvin's car, Adolph's basement, Adolph's studio, Adolph's car, Mark's garage, and Ben and Calvin's parents' basement.
Other than myself, I would say I suspect Ben. Ben's at the top. Ben's like the main suspect. There's a lot of stuff at his house. There's always stuff moving. It could have gotten into his laundry. It could have gotten into his wood shop. He might accidentally cut it up on the saw. No, don't spill.
Yeah, we're doing an investigation.
My suspicion is as follows. M-A-R-K-B-R-A-D. I think Mark sold it. How do you think he got all his kids? I won't look right there. I'll look right there because that's what real interviewers do.
Out of everybody who's had access to the camera, I believe that Ben would be least likely to put it back in the case because he would feel most comfortable breaking the camera because it belongs to him. And because we have the camera bag, I think that Ben is suspect number 1.
My second suspicion, James Calvin Malson. My third, myself. Fourth is Ben Malson. Fifth would be Jordan Rice. Did I say myself?
You said yourself twice. Myself. My fourth. Ben Malson.
Wait, really? Dang it, I guess I'm twice as likely to be a suspect. You suspect Mark Brad?
A little bit. Mark's a good dude though. But he does have kids to feed. I think I would be number 2. I at least suspect Ernie, but I more suspect Clara than Ernie.
She likes when we're not here.
Yeah, that's true. She likes when we're not here. So what better way to keep us away from here than hide the Sony?
Clara, where is the Sony?
I think it is in James's stuff. Because I can just so vividly imagine him saying, "Dude, I had it the whole time!"
So who most likely misplaced the Sony?
Ben, because it belongs to him. I think the Sony, Ben, is your responsibility at the end of the day. If James has it, you should know that. If it's not in James's stuff, I think James did something with it and it's like in your parents' basement.
Mark doesn't know we're coming. We're gonna catch him in the act.
I've already found a major bombshell.
Okay.
Just.
Oh,
You have gotta be kidding
my.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
I don't have any words.
He's got huggies?
Minnie Mouse is here.
He's got a hat that says "Bad Boys" on it.
He is a bad
Wow.
boy.
It's a bad one.
Mark, where's the Sony?
I do not know. I had possession of the Sony at some point in time, allegedly.
Coincidentally, our Sony went missing about the time you bought your PS5.
Where did the money come
And who
from?
is PS5 owned by? And do they do trade-ins?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Have you ever sold or gotten rid of a Sony A6300?
Yeah.
So you have a history of not only selling Sony products, but of selling Sony A6300s.
Yeah. Sony products are something I've sold in the past.
Was there ever a time in which you were at my house in the past 2 years in which nobody else was at my house?
If I recall correctly, there was a time where we were doing a Fortnite night and you guys had gone to get Taco Bell. I got there earlier than you guys and I just sat in your living room and music started playing really loud.
So riddle me this theory. We went to Taco Bell, you came to my house, Sony was sitting out on the couch maybe. You said, I would like a third camera for my videos. Okay. And you might have stuffed it in your PS5 box when we weren't looking. And it's somewhere in this house.
No, I don't think so.
You have any
Not
idea?
even I don't think so. It did not happen.
How did you afford all these kids?
I'm a photographer and videographer by trade. Make money by taking photos with cameras, such as an A6300 sometime in the past.
Studio C.
Clear.
C for clear.
Jordan, where's the Sony?
I don't know. So last I saw it, we had that show canceled in Orlando. On our way there, Adolph is talking to me about wanting to work on his vlogging skills. So we were kind of setting up for your guys' little concert in the amphitheater. He was out there vlogging next to DBMK. And so that's the last I saw it, was he was using it by...
He was using it in Orlando.
Yeah, yes.
Adolph! Is this
heck?
true?
Not that I know of, but I don't know.
Well, Jordan was sick. Yeah, he might have had some kind of vision.
I think he may have been hallucinating.
Just to be clear, Jordan and I were sharing a whole bottle of cough syrup.
We interviewed Adolph's younger brother, the last known person to physically have used the Sony. But in order to protect Samuel Benjamin Goetz's identity, we changed his voice. Samuel Benjamin Goetz,
Hey,
where is the Sony?
the Sony. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. When was the last time you saw it?
Uno reverse card. Where was the last time you saw it?
Oh, I remember that, yeah. I don't remember it that much. I do remember the light show though, and it was pretty cool.
Do you remember holding a Sony A6300?
Didn't Elizabeth hold it?
No, she wasn't there.
Yeah, I just don't remember this at all, so thank you
Oh,
for
that's
reminding me.
very convenient.
This is getting out of hand. I think you guys have possession of the camera and you're just framing me.
What would your allegations be if you were over here?
I'd probably say that I'm devilishly handsome. Yeah.
Is it true that you release music under the name Samuel Goetz?
I thought we were keeping my identity private, but yeah, I do. Go listen, guys.
Have you done any pictures for your music?
Yeah, I use my phone.
Well, you can edit pictures on any device, but you can also take them on a camera.
Yeah, my phone has a camera too, though.
But would you say that the Sony camera is higher quality than your phone camera?
Yeah, have you seen the pictures? They're not that high quality. I think that you think that I'm a lot smarter than I am. I think that's what's going on. I don't think I had like a backpack or anything, did I?
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Oh, I'd do a lot for a Klondike bar. I'd even tell you where the camera was if you gave me one.
Who do you most suspect other than yourself?
The last person in my mind that it was James Malson.
That's the second time I've been incriminated.
Do you admit that sometimes it'd be nice to have a second camera for shooting videos?
It's a reality, so yeah, I do have 2 cameras.
Do you admit that sometimes it'd be nice to have a third camera?
There is a time or two where that would be nice.
Do you admit that there was a few scenes in which we had to use our Sony a6300 to shoot?
Yes, yeah.
It was
Motorcycle
the
scenes.
motorcycle. Do you admit that you were jealous that the shots we took of our Sony were better than your Sony shots?
Oh, so it's not even debatable whether they were or not good. They better. The question is, was I jealous or not?
Right.
I was jealous.
Oh man!
We got him!
We got him!
Marty, where's the Sony?
Not to throw James under the bus any more than he already has been, but there are some inconsistencies in this story.
You haven't even heard my story.
Okay, I'm not gonna answer anymore.
So the thing is,
Look at that! Beans!
Adolph's house is clear.
All clear. So none of them claimed to know where the camera like actually was, but Jordan had mentioned that he thought he saw Adolph using the Sony on tour, and that raised some questions. But we also kind of got the vibe that Mark Brad was hiding something.
We didn't find it in here, so that makes me feel sad. But I cleared my name. Pretty much this investigation is how moms feel when you have guests come over. And you're like, you gotta dust everywhere.
I think it's either at Ben's house or really my parents' house, where I used to live. Or our parents' house, I guess, where we used to live.
I think Mark Brad is completely guilty. He admitted even in his interrogation that he has sold an A6300 before. And how many people have sold an A6300 while their friend is missing theirs?
In the frenzy of packing for tour, I think Ben misplaced it. If I was a Sony, where would I be? I think I would be somewhere in Ben's house. What about the tow truck driver?
I hate that tow truck driver. I had a Bluetooth speaker hidden under my seat. I drive with him over to the mechanic, and then my Bluetooth speaker's not there. Checked in the glove compartment, checked the trunk, checked under the hood, checked in the engine. So there's the possibility that the Sony was in my car and the tow truck driver stole not only my Bluetooth speaker, but the Sony.
I think that James was using it for maybe like a school project or something. And then my second theory, when you loaned it to Mark Brad, he thought he gave it back to you, but he actually didn't. I think it's more likely that Ben sold the Sony than that Mark sold the Sony. But it is really funny to think of Mark being like, 2 Sonys? I don't need 2 of these, I'll just sell one.
Studio A is clear.
So we continued searching everywhere, hoping that the Sony wasn't stolen. So we were like tearing apart stuff. We were tearing apart Ben's house. We tore apart closets. We tore apart his basement. We tore apart his storage space at his house. We tore apart my car. Actually, Ben cleaned it out for me, so that was great. We tore apart Adolph's basement, his creepy basement, his garage.
Searching in our houses, there were a few key bins that the Sony might be in. We had 15 to 20 of these black bins with blue handles that sometimes we threw the Sony in to take on tour for extra protection. We were also given these like green ammo box cases that there was a chance the Sony might be in one of those. We also had 2 big merch bins filled with shirts, and we had a bad habit of throwing the Sony in there sometimes when things got a little crazy at shows. A really unfortunate memory I had was I had sold 10 of those black bins with the blue handles on Facebook Marketplace. I sold 10 of them. and I'm sure that I looked through them, but I am not 100% sure.
Show me box 15.
Are you sure?
Come on, Howie, I gotta know.
All right.
Oh.
Every nice camera, when you take a picture, has a bunch of EXIF data, it's called, associated with every shot.
You need my
calculation. So every camera has EXIF data. And one of the things that includes is your camera's serial number, which every camera has. So there's this website called stolencamerafinder.com, and we're like, oh my gosh, we can search the serial number of the Sony on this website.
Of course, we didn't have the Sony serial number because we didn't have the Sony. But I did remember that a while ago we had gear insurance and we had a master list of all the gear with serial numbers. So if I could find that, we could look up the serial number. So I ended up finding the serial number in our music insurance account, and then when I entered it into the Stolen Camera Finder website, nothing! It was not found. Which was good and bad. Good because nobody was actively using our camera, but bad because we still didn't know where the heck the Sony was. Ben remembers that right before we left for tour, you ran inside, got the bag, brought it in. Do you suspect you might have stolen it in that?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, I would have to think if I am a suspect in that sense. No, I'm not. No, I do not suspect myself in that moment. Because if I got the camera, then I would know if I stole it. And I know I didn't.
I don't think I lose things that often, I just don't necessarily know where things are. I don't know that anybody's accused me.
Oh.
You're the prime suspect.
You are the prime suspect.
I don't think anybody has accused me.
As an unbiased interviewer, you are the suspect.
You are the suspect.
We'll do some admission of guilt later on.
Dude, if I was in a real police investigation, I'd be toast.
Why do you think this is any less serious than that?
It was only in this room for a couple days when I used it for a project that I was working on, and there's photographic evidence after that. Clears my name. I'm innocent.
You're acting a little defensive.
I am very nervous. I am innocent.
Could you have borrowed the Sony multiple times, given it back, and then forgotten one time you didn't give it back?
No. Nope.
In a full sentence.
Oh. No. There is absolutely no way I forgot to give it back.
If Mark lost the Sony, he doesn't know that he lost the Sony because I trust Mark.
Are you sure?
No. I think Mark's innocent, Jordan's innocent, Trevor's innocent.
I am probably the least likely to be suspected about this. For the record, I would really like to have the Sony back. You can call me at 513-8 if you have any tips.
You think it's like snowball shot in hell?
No, it's more like...
In a haystack, needle in a haystack.
No, it's more like a blue whale that's treated well at SeaWorld.
How do you sell hot cocoa in Florida?
Well, you gotta shoot a cool promo video for your company first. We can confidently say the Sony is not in the van.
Ben's house is the last place we looked, though it should have been the first because he's number one on my suspect list. But we went into his house and we tore apart where we started in the cars. Tore apart the cars, tore apart the van, looked inside like 3 or 4 different closets, opening every single bin. We looked in the basement, in the storage area, in his studio, Studio A, Studio B. We looked absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, let's look at.
Really funny.
Let's look at this one. Here, Adolph, do you want to film actually? And So this, we can take this out.
How? It's like so. No, it's sewed in.
Oh, this one's sewed in.
Yeah.
Check behind the cushion.
What did you just find?
That's the feet to the couch that I never put in.
Wait, here, can we flip it on its side real quick?
Yeah, we'll flip it over.
All right.
Can you explain why it looks like this?
So, in order to get this couch in our basement, we had to cut it in half. So there is a potential that it might be.
Dude, I am so at a loss
This is gonna
for
be an
words.
excellent documentary because we found it.
This is insane.
We found the Sony.
I could not believe what I saw. The Sony just falls out of the couch. It looks scripted. It looks like we faked the whole thing. Cause Ben's like, maybe it's under the Sony. Unbelievable.
I have to admit, the video totally does look staged, but it is 100% real. That is the exact moment we found the Sony. And we didn't know the Sony was gonna be in that couch.
When they found it, I actually wasn't looking right there. I was looking at another part of the couch. And so I kind of just like heard a gasp. And then I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, am I seeing like what I think I'm seeing right now? And it looks staged because like when Adolph's recording, Ben's like, it might just be right. And then he pulls the couch thing up and it was just right there.
I feel like in those movies where everything's like all the memories come into place, it just made perfect sense.
This was like the most genuine reaction I've like ever had. Even more genuine than when the Bengals kicked the field goal to go to the Super Bowl, because that's the first time that ever happened in my life, but this was better.
The millisecond that the Sony fell out of my couch, everything made complete 1000% sense. When Adolph's younger brother came over to shoot the promo video, we had moved everything from one side of my basement to the other, including my couch. So when we bought the couch, it would not fit down my stairs. So what we had to do was cut the bottom mesh open and then cut the couch literally in half. Then we smushed it like an accordion and shoved it down my stairs. Then I used brackets to make it all a normal couch again. Then when we shot the promo video, we had stacked one of the couches on top of the other upside down. So we had put a bunch of gear on top of the upside down part of the couch. And what must have happened was we rested the Sony on top of the upside down couch and it accidentally got bumped down into the couch. And when we turned the couch back over, the Sony didn't fall out. So we had literally been sitting on the Sony for 2 years.
I had no idea why it was in the couch, but I was happy that it was there. I just had no clue, like, who the poop puts couch in the camera? Oop, oop.
Well, I have something to show you.
What?
Mark, where's the Sony?
Where's the Sony?
It's in my darn hands. What?
We have a present for you to open.
No. So it was here. Oh my gosh. This is my face towel.
Sorry about
Well,
that.
that's the camera towel.
If you ever lose something, look inside the couch. Not on it, not underneath, but in it.
We have learned that if you put things on the bottom of a broken couch, if I had a message to tell the world, it would be that sometimes you're sitting on your most valuable assets. If you want to find your most valuable assets, you gotta get up off your asset.
I have to publicly apologize to Mark Brad. I still think he did it. I think he put it there. Mark Brad, you are publicly apologized to.
I would like to formally apologize to all the other suspects, but I knew it was Ben all along.
To Mark Brad, you are publicly apologized to for being a suspect.
I don't think I need to apologize to anybody because I have the same accusational feelings towards everybody else, except myself, which I had more so for me. So I'm sorry, Calvin. Thank me. You're welcome. I'm welcome.
I would like to publicly acquit Mark Brad.
I know that I accused myself most. Oh, maybe I dropped it somewhere and left it. Or maybe it's at the studio. Everybody freaking accused me. They're all like, I think James has it. Even if I think I have it, I just don't appreciate other people thinking I have it. Like, let me think bad of myself. Don't you think bad of me.
To all else who I suspected, you are also publicly apologized to. Feel better.
I'll give a teaspoon apology to the tow truck driver. He did not steal the Sony, after all. So his name is clear on that. But he did steal my Bluetooth speaker. That's a whole other documentary. I genuinely don't think I'll ever find that.
We have a present for you as an apology. And to clear your name. Daddy! Yes! The Prodigal Sony has returned.
The Prodigal Sony has returned.
The Prodigal Sony has returned.
This like reminds me of a poem like that keeps on like it's like got like 5 or 6 lines in it. It's like
Where is
the sun?
What's the alternative title for this documentary?
The Prodigal Sony.
That's good.
I came up with that also.
Actually, the list of where the Sony isn't is much bigger than where it is.
Well, that's usually the case for most things. Hey, did you know that when something isn't somewhere, it's somewhere else?
What's your involvement with the Sony?
Could you repeat the question in the form of a question?
I'm so glad that Ben and I felt so inspired to make this documentary, otherwise we never would have found this camera, this Sony. The Prodigal Sony has returned, and this is investigative journalism at its finest.